Andrew Yang has made UBI a domestic talking point, but how popular is it actually, and has UBI ever worked internationally?
We are back with former Deputy Attorney General and political appointee Stephen Cobb and commentary writer for the Washington Examiner, Tom Rogan. Gentlemen, great to see you.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got some new polling on UBI that was pretty interesting from our sister show here, What America's Thinking, if we can throw it up. We polled on UBI back in February, and then we polled on it today. And you can see that the percent of the public in favor of a UBI program has gone up pretty significantly here, a 6-point jump over the course of those months. Stephen, what do you think we can attribute that to?
Well, I have some concerns with how the questioning was phrased, but I think one of the high-level points is that you can say that one of the areas of income inequality is still an issue that is pervasive among the populace. Now, when it gets
There's
to
a new report that
came out
at
today,
its highest
got
level
higher
in
ever.
50 years.
Our Gini
but when you get into the specifics of UBI and whether or not that's supported, it's a lot to unpack. So, even under Yang's proposal, the follow-up question in a poll would have to be, are you okay with ratcheting back some government services? Are you okay with an additional 10% tax?
Right.
Are you okay with changing the way things are funded? And I think that when you ask follow-up questions, maybe those numbers move a little bit. But for me, the takeaway is that there is this continuing ongoing discussion about income inequality and making sure people have a living wage.
Yeah.
And so that comes out when people talk about minimum wage standards, that comes when people talk about taxes, and yes, it comes out in UBI. So I think it's something that is on the forefront of people's minds, and it is a very kind of interesting area for discussion.
What I think about it is, so when I remember, I think we looked at some Monmouth polling way back in the 3-4 months ago, and it was rock bottom. I think it was like 26%.
Yeah, it was the least
registered, one of the least popular proposals. I mean, this in our latest poll does show almost entirely because of Andrew Yang the rise in this. But on a policy level,
people even know what it is.
People even know what it is and are willing to entertain it. On a policy level, what do you think, Tom? I have a lot of reservations. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a bad idea on a policy level. Finland had the biggest experiment really doing it, and it just didn't affect.
What does that mean?
Well, so they did a universal basic income trial. There was very marginal impact in terms of people pursuing sort of economic dynamic actions rather than just pocketing the money and spending it as we would spend our money as disposable income. The broader point as well, though, if you change that poll question to say, and are you willing to pay X amount more in taxes to pay for this, I think those numbers would drop very significantly.
So hold on, I want to just, on the results that we've seen in the real world, Canada did a trial, and what they found is that people stayed in school longer. They invested in their own education. They invested in their kids' education. There was some working less, but it was so that parents could stay home with their children, which I think is an unequivocally good thing. So it wasn't like people just sat on the couch and ate Cheetos. That wasn't what was found at all. Health outcomes improved and education outcomes improved. We did studies also here in the U.S., actually under the Nixon administration of all things. They found similar results. There's a Native American tribe in the U.S. that was receiving payments from a casino, and they found similar education benefits. They found health benefits. So the research that's out there thus far points to positive impact. Now, I think some of the questions you raise are legitimate about how does this interact with our existing social safety net?
And are you going to target to particular demographics, or is it going to be across the board?
Right.
Because that would be...
It's got to be across the board. There's a universality, because here's what happens
lawyer
politically.
math, that's what, $2.4 to $3 trillion annually?
Politically, and you know this is the case, the moment that you turn something into means tested, it becomes welfare. My friends on the right demonize it as only for those people, and it's killed. That's why Social Security is so popular, because it's universal. That's why Medicare is so popular. The minute you undercut the universality of a program, it is politically dead.
Oh, I'm not even talking about the politics of it. I'm just talking about the dollars and cents. So if you're assuming that's being attributed to everyone who's at 18 and over, then you're talking between $2 and $3 trillion annually, which at this point would be about, what, half our annual budget, which we're running at about almost $1 billion deficit to begin with. So I know under the Yang's proposal, he talks about, well, you're going to create this economically, and we're going to make some cuts here, and then we're going to have the 10% tax. But I think there's still a lot of questions that fix out, and I don't see how it happens without ballooning the deficit.
Well, that's the question. I mean, that's what Tom raises with this Finland activity. Oh, is it really enough amount of money in order to create any activity? Now, I think that you're right that yes, we've seen investment in education, investment, or people willing to stay home. But that can also be through distributed benefits in the tax code. It doesn't have to be a universal basic income.
But UBI is the least. But it's the least paternalistic way of helping people. It's a fundamentally conservative idea, which is why it is supported by a lot of libertarians. Of basically like, look, you need more money. Here's more money. We trust you to do with it what would be best, rather than saying, okay, you have this amount to buy this thing. We're going to give you a voucher here. We're going to give you a tax cut here. Just like, no, here. We trust you for your own life to make the best decisions.
But it's ultimately redistributed money, right? And you could I would make the case that why is the success of the American economy predicated on capitalism? It's because we have a risk premium on investment. So the people who are taking risks with their own money and succeeding are the ones best placed to do it.
But look at where we are. I mean, Amazon paying $0 in tax. I mean, the system we have is insane.
Well, that's tax reform, isn't it?
Yeah,
and then you have, but then you look down the road and you see the fact the top 3 most common jobs in the country: cashier, fast food worker, and retail sales clerk, all low paid, all in danger of being automated and out of existence. So you say, well, what do we do? How do we transition? How do you make sure people can survive? How do you make sure they have meaning and dignity in their life now?
Right. Well, one of the things that Vice President Biden pointed out was
for jobs that don't exist. That's the problem.
What Vice President pointed out is UBI being a last opportunity, and because you would first look at things like tax reform, then you'd look at things like minimum wage or living wage before I think you would even get to UBI as a kind of potential.
What I'll say about this is, at least as we're having the discussion, I think it's interesting. I think it is right to talk about potentially automated jobs and about how to make it so that people can have a living wage if you're a cashier clerk at a Dollar General. Well, that's a very difficult life.
And that's it. And that it's also it gives workers power because they know they can leave their shitty job and not die. I mean, seriously, if you're a creative and you can earn part of your money from your enterprise but not all of it, it just gives people options and flexibility. I personally think that and a federal jobs guarantee are both, ideas that need to be supported. I think we have a cultural sort of obsession with work and a religion of work that's very hard to get away from. To me, that's the most problematic part of UBI, but I think we all have to give Andrew Yang credit for forcing this debate and putting it on the table.
Thanks, guys.
Making more
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Tomorrow on Rising, Congressman Tim Burchett shares a congressional viewpoint on the U.S. negotiations with China and with Iran.
And we chart presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren's rise and the 2016 election's influence on her campaign today. As always, subscribe to our YouTube channel because it's the best. Send us your burning questions using #RisingQs and follow us on all of the social channels. We're everywhere, people. Have a great day.
See you tomorrow.